Some trails are meant to be climbed. Others are meant to be swallowed. In the mountains and forests where the air thins and the light changes, routine can turn traitor. A Boy Scout hike, a quick drive after a game, a visit to a girlfriend's apartment, a vacation trek with a friendly dog. Then the ground opens and someone you love is simply not there. Tonight, 4 true disappearances that still shake the spine. A 12-year-old Boy Scout goes missing near a summit, leaving behind a footprint, a roll of film, and a self-portrait lit by a dying flash. 5 young men drive an hour the wrong way, abandon a working car, and walk into a winter that doesn't forgive. A star soccer player steps toward his car, freezes, and bolts into the trees. 2 travelers in Panama leave photos, calls for help, and bones. Like the video, subscribe, and keep your light small. The dark will handle the rest. Story 1, The Self-Portrait in the Dark. Jared Negretti, Southern California, 1991. A Boy Scout camping trip in the San Bernardino National Forest, climbing toward the high, wind-carved crown of Mount San Gorgonio. Among 14 other boys is 12-year-old Jared Negretti, shorter, heavier, determined, pushing for the summit. Around 6 p.m., roughly 1,000 feet shy of the top, another group of hikers spots him straggling behind. They notify the scoutmaster waiting up at the summit. On the descent, those hikers watch the boy shortcutting the switchbacks, sliding the mountain's logic into straight lines. They warn him, stay on the trail. The scoutmaster, an experienced hiker, says he'll pick Jared up on the way down. But by the time the scoutmaster descends to where Jared should be, he's gone. That's where safety slips. The scoutmaster gets the other boys back to base camp, because you don't lose 1 to lose 15, and then hikes about 5 miles in the dark to reach help. Deputies, search and amp, rescue teams, and volunteers flood the mountain. They begin with a sweep across roughly a 130 square mile wilderness, tree-line rock, cold air, broken slopes that steal sound. Within 3 days, the search tightens to 6 square miles after they find what could be a single crucial thread, a footprint believed to match one of Jared's high-top tennis shoes. They keep finding crumbs of routine, beef jerky and candy wrappers that look like a kid trying to ration his fear. Then, more intimate than any of that, they find his camera. On the roll, 12 photos. Most are landscapes from earlier in the day, light, sky, the distant country a boy can hold in a rectangle. The final frame is different, a self-portrait, flash-burned, held too close, the kind of image you take when there's no one else to hold the camera, and you need the light to prove you're still here. It looks like he raised the lens at his own face and let the flash explode in the dark. Maybe he lost that camera when he slid down a portion of the mountainside. Maybe he dropped it to move faster. Maybe he put it down because the flash had one more breath left and he needed it for that last look. At least 70 officers joined the push, some airlifted by helicopter, some on horseback. Helicopters sweep with infrared scanning. Over 2 weeks, as many as 3,000 people log 45,000 hours, scouring about 50 square miles of the forest. The mountain takes their footprints, their calls, their hope, and gives nothing back. So you hold up theories like lanterns and watch the dark ignore them. Did he fall off the trail, slide into a cut where brush hides everything? Maybe, but searches near the switchbacks turned up nothing. A bear attack? There's no blood, no drag, none of the torn ground predators leave behind. Abduction? There are hikers out here. People pass, people watch, people wait. 30+ years later, the mountain still hasn't coughed him up. What remains of a boy are the things that tried to keep him tethered. A footprint, a wrapper, a flash-lit face in the dark, insisting he existed 5 inches from the lens. Sometimes the last light you carry is your own. Story 2. The Men Who Walked Past the Fire. The Yuba County Five, Northern Sierra, February 24th, 1978. 5 young men from Yuba County, Bill Sterling, Jack Madruga, Ted Weir, Jack Hewitt, and Gary Mathias, drive to California State University for a basketball game. They're excited. They have a game of their own the next day, a Special Olympics event, and their clothes are already laid out. Each of them carries his own kind of fragility, mild mental health issues, but together they're whole. Friends. A routine Friday night that should end the way all good routines do, at home. They never make it back. A search starts fast. A few days in, their car turns up far from the way they should have gone. A full hour in the wrong direction from Yuba City, driven up a winding mountain pass into the Plumas National Forest near the northern Sierra Nevada. The car is in working condition, lodged in a snowbank. No signs of foul play. With 5 grown men, they could have pushed it out. So why didn't they? For about a week, police and forest rangers look for paths in the snow, tracks, body prints, anything. But a snowstorm rolls through and erases the record the way a hand wipes a chalkboard. Then the sightings start. A man named Joseph Shones, transcript Scones, calls police. On the Friday night they vanished, he's on the same remote road, trying to rock his car free of a snowbank when he feels the rip of a mild heart attack. He looks out and sees flashlight beams, a small group of men. He calls to them for help. They ignore him and vanish into the dark. Another witness, a woman, says she sees 5 men in a red pickup on Saturday and Sunday, roughly an hour from where the car was found. 2 come into her store for food and the phone. The other 3 sit in the truck like they're protecting something or too tired to move. And then spring does what it always does. It melts the alibi snow, gives the dead. June. A local finds a broken window on a Forest Service trailer. Inside lies Ted Weir, wrapped in many layers of blankets. He appears to have starved, his feet badly frostbitten, while food sat nearby in the trailer. The fireplace is untouched. Warm snow clothes in the cabin are unused. Some estimates suggest he lived as long as 13 weeks after they disappeared. Not far away, about 20 miles from the abandoned car, they find the bones of Bill Sterling, Jack Hewitt, and Jack Madruga, spread apart, like a conversation the winter interrupted. Cause of death, hypothermia. Gary Mathias is never found. Only his shoes turn up in the woods, as if he stepped out of himself and kept walking. None of this makes sense the way survival should. Why leave a working car 5 men could have freed? Why walk deeper into elevation and cold? Why not help a man in distress when you have 5 sets of hands? Why sit inside a trailer and not light a fire, not use the stove, not eat the food that might have kept you alive? Why separate? Families repeat what they know in their bones. This was not like them. Not to ignore another person's call for help. Not to turn away from warmth when the sky can kill you. There are explanations that try to hold. Panic, disorientation, the way cold scrambles thinking. But there's also another possibility no one can shake. That they were afraid of something enough to ignore a dying man's voice. Enough to walk past a fireplace like it was a trap. Enough to separate rather than huddle and wait out the night. Snow forgives, it covers. It doesn't explain. The Yuba County Five stepped off a paved certainty and into a story that won't answer back. A working engine. Footprints the storm erased. A body wrapped in blankets beside a cold stove. Shoes with no feet in them. And a road where flashlights moved like will-o-wisps past a man clutching his chest, begging. You can die from the cold. You can also die from a choice you don't know you've made. Story 3. The Boy Who Shushed the Tracks. Craig Freer, Scotia Glenville, New York. June 27, 2004. Craig Freer is 17, dimples, red hair, a star soccer player at Scotia Glenville High, about to be named captain, colleges circling with scholarship interest. He's picked up a part-time job. His future looks like an open field. Then the small fractures. His parents think he's heading to his shift at Price Chopper. His mother, Veronica, even sees him carry his uniform to the car. Later that day, she goes to shop and realizes there's no trace of him at work, because Craig lost the job after about 2 months and hid it, pretending to still be employed so his parents wouldn't know. Upset and now worried, his parents call his girlfriend, not yet knowing she's actually his ex-girlfriend. She first says she hasn't seen him. A second call scrapes up the truth. He's with her. Veronica gets Craig on the line and lectures him. Come home now, we need to talk. He agrees. He'll be home in 10 minutes, the drive time from her place. He says goodbye to his ex and steps outside. She watches. He walks toward his car, then stops, stands still, and suddenly darts the other way, as if he's seen something he doesn't want to see. If he were afraid, it would make more sense to drive. But fear doesn't always make sense. Craig's father pulls into the complex around that time and sees his son's car still parked. The 10 minutes come and go. By 5 p.m., Veronica reports him missing. At first, police think it's a teen blowing off steam after an argument. Then the details get worse. He doesn't have his phone. He doesn't have his wallet. A break. A handful of teenagers tell investigators they saw Craig, or someone who looked like him, walking the railroad tracks behind the ex-girlfriend's apartment. When they call out, he raises a finger to his lips, shh, as if to quiet them. Then he enters the woods and disappears. Search teams work the rail line, the woods, the Mohawk River. Dogs sweep for scent. Nothing. It's as if the trees swallowed him mid-stride. Years crawl. Investigations scale back. Families try to learn how to breathe with the weight. In 2021, a new ripple. A co-worker from Price Chopper tells investigators that in the days after June 27, 2004, he saw Craig sitting in the passenger seat of a car traveling north on Route 50 in Glenville. The car stopped at the Sheffield Road light, turned left, and vanished up the intersecting road. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was. Either way, there's a shape here. A boy who walked toward his car, stopped, and then ran. A boy who raised a finger to hush witnesses and stepped into trees as if the woods themselves had called him by name. People don't evaporate, but sometimes the path behind them does. Story 4. Night Photos and Bones. Chris Kremers and Amp. Lisanne Froon, Panama, March 2014. Two Dutch travelers, Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, transcript spelling varies, reward themselves after graduating, a trip they'd worked extra shifts to afford. They reach Boquete, a lush town at the base of cloud-forested slopes, and settle with a host family. They book a guide named Feliciano for the next day. On April 1st, they go out without him. They take the family's dog, Blue, onto the trails. By evening, Blue returns alone. The host family tries to reach Lisanne's mother. Calls go unanswered. On April 2nd, Feliciano waits for the women to show for their scheduled hike. They never arrive. He goes to the host home. Their belongings are still there. Panic ripples. The police are called. A wide net search forms. Locals, farmers, detectives, search dogs, helicopters, everyone who can move through jungle. 10 days of looking turns up nothing. No bodies. No shoes. Just the hiss of rain and leaves and the knowledge that jungle can hide anything it wants. 2 months later, a backpack turns up, belonging to one of the women. Then skeletal remains are found. DNA confirms both women. The story could end here. An accident and a wrong turn compounded by injury and exposure, but the evidence refuses to behave. The women had cell phones. Call logs show they tried to dial emergency numbers throughout those first 10 days, but no service reached back. There's a camera in the pack. On it, about 100 photos. Many are exactly what you expect, scenic, the trip as it should have been. Investigators line up the image timestamps beside the phone calls and watch dread push in. 2 hours after a happy photo, one of them tries to call 911. Then the darkness starts. Roughly 10 of the 100 images look like they were taken within the 10-day window. The other 90 were shot later, between roughly 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. in near complete darkness. Maybe they were using the flash to see, a strobe for the jungle. Maybe someone else took them. The camera does not explain itself. One image shows the back of Chris's head close up, as if to inspect a wound near the right temple, blood caught in hair. Perhaps Lisanne used the flash to check damage. Some believe Chris may already have been deceased in that image, that a third party took the photo. Belief isn't proof, but it sits there cold. A hiking shoe is found, with a foot still inside, identified as Chris's. A pelvic bone is identified as Lisanne's. The jungle returns parts instead of people. The accepted theory runs simple. They left the main trail, one was injured, the other tried to help, and both eventually succumbed to starvation and dehydration. Their last days logged in failed calls and blind flashes. It fits mostly. But other details keep the floor from settling. There are reviews that warn women against hiking alone with Feliciano, calling him touchy, flirty, one even alleging he joked about chopping a leg off. He's also the person who finds Chris's shoe behind a specific tree trunk in a place that feels too precise, as if he knew where to look. Is that proof? No, is it a shadow? Yes. There are more pieces, more counters, more theories that sprawl like vines. This isn't that video. What remains is a timeline of pleas that couldn't connect, night photos that read like a strobe-lit panic, and bones returned by a country that keeps more than it gives back. Whether the forest killed them by accident, or someone used the forest the way a magician uses a curtain, may remain unknowable. Sometimes the camera sees everything except the thing you need it to. A boy raises a camera in the dark and finds his own face. 5 friends walk past warmth and into a winter that never forgives. A soccer captain lifts a finger to hush witnesses and steps into trees that don't echo. 2 travelers light the jungle with their cameras stutter and leave behind photographs, calls for help, and bones. The facts are thin as the air where these choices were made. Don't shortcut switchbacks. Don't leave a working engine. Don't lie about a job to protect your parents from your shame. Don't hike a day early without the guide you hired for tomorrow. We say don't as if the word could fix the past, as if it could yoke the vanished back to us. What's left is silence that feels intentional, the kind that follows you home. If you have theories, or you've walked a trail that made your voice small, leave a comment. Subscribe to Unseen Casebook Vids for more cases that don't just scare but scar. Thanks for climbing into the darkness with us today. Out here, a single wrong turn can be forever.